Tanzania plans to begin the construction of a delayed $30 billion liquefied natural gas project in 2023. Now, this follows the resumption of talks with companies, including Equinor. Construction is expected to take about 5 years, according to Energy Minister Medad Kalemani. Now, plans for an LNG plant on Tanzania's southern coast and a pipeline connecting offshore fields have been under consideration since 2014. Well, let's now take apart this project with Thabit Jacob. He's a researcher at the Institute for Society and Globalization at Roskilde University in Denmark. Great to have you with us on the show today, Mr. Jacob. Now, it certainly seems like projects which had previously stalled in Tanzania's extractive sectors, they're suddenly gaining momentum now under this new administration. Give us a sense of what this signals for you, especially about the changing tone between government and, of course, multinational companies looking to invest in the country.
Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, the mood is really changing on the ground. So a lot of these projects have stalled for the last 4 or 5 years, as you've said. You know, the mood under the previous government of the late President Magufuli was, there's a lot of tension and suspicion between the government and multinational companies. But President Samia Suluhu Hassan has sent a signal that she wants to move away from that anti-private sector rhetoric, a very nationalistic approach that was under the former president. And what we have seen in the last few months is that, a couple of mining projects that were pending have been approved. Negotiations again are back on track, and companies in the private sector very much feel like things are back on track again.
Now, of course, we just talked about how East Africa is becoming quite a hotspot for the extractive industries, and natural gas specifically, that has a key part to play in the global energy transition going forward. Give us some insight into how this proposed, they say it's going to be a 2-train onshore LNG plant. How will this benefit the country's mining sector and certainly boost Tanzania's economy going forward?
Yeah, right. So East Africa very much at the center of the attention as far as oil and gas resources are concerned. And of course, energy transition is a big thing now. I should point out that, your viewers might have had, stories about their global campaigns to stop financing fossil fuel, including natural gas and coal. At the same time, experts are telling us that, natural gas will play a very big role for energy transition. I mean, as far as Tanzania is concerned, gas could play a huge role in its industrialization ambition. It could play a huge role in providing reliable energy for majority of Tanzanians who are relying on mostly biogas. It could also play a very important role in basically creating employment. And, this is a country that, the country's population is growing very fast. And, the natural gas economy, which is still far away because we're talking about probably 2028 onwards. So it could play a huge role in the country's energy sector, the industrialization, as I've said, which is, Tanzania has got this huge industrialization ambition, and part of that will be fueled by the natural gas economy.
Well, let's talk about the fact that Tanzania and Mozambique right now are said to be sub-Saharan Africa's foremost gas frontier investment destinations, those two nations. How key is that development in Tanzania and, of course, Mozambique as well to global LNG supply going forward?
Right. Yeah, these are two very important countries. So Mozambique has got around 180 trillion cubic feet of proven reserves of natural gas. Tanzania has got about 57 trillion cubic feet of proven natural gas. So this makes Tanzania and Mozambique Africa's two biggest holders of natural gas reserves. But I think it's a little bit premature to talk about, the role of these two countries in the global LNG supply, because as we know, the LNG project in Mozambique has stalled because of the Islamic insurgents in the northern part of Mozambique. And Tanzania, the minister was out basically saying the construction is expected to start next year and could be completed in 2028, which I doubt. It could, could go a little bit longer than that. And I think it's important here to point out that all of this depends very much on the global geopolitics of the LNG supply. As we speak at the moment, there are a couple of other LNG plants being constructed elsewhere in places like Qatar, in Australia, and Canada, and the US. So Mozambique and Tanzania will face competition at some point from, some other top global LNG suppliers.
Quite an interesting outlook there. Well, thank you so much, Thabit Jacob, for your insights. That, of course, is Thabit Jacob. He's a researcher at the Institute of Society and Globalization at Roskilde University in Denmark.